Today we'll be discussing about the topic approaches in psychology. So under AS level content, we have four different approaches in psychology. The first one is the biological approach, second one is the cognitive approach, third one is the learning approach, and fourth and final one is the social approach. So when we are talking about from your exam point of view, under each approaches, they have two major assumptions that you have to study for your exam, and there are different studies as well for each approaches. So what we'll be doing in this video is we will go through four approaches in a general manner, and we look at what are the two different assumptions of each. Let's begin with the biological approach. So here on the screen you can see two major assumptions of biological approach. So when we hear the word biology, what are the terms that comes to our mind? Maybe brain, hormones, genes. Yes, that's it. Let's look at the first assumption of biological approach. Behavior, cognition, and emotion can be explained in terms of working of the brain and the effect of hormones and genetics and evolution. What does it mean? It means our behavior or how are we responding or our thoughts or whatever emotions that we are feeling. It is a result of interaction of our brain or the interplay of hormones or the genes that are transferred or the evolution. For example, consider two students, student A and student B. Are they both have same behavior or same thought? Do they express anger in the same extent? No. So what makes people different? So there comes the second assumption of biological approach, that similarities and differences between people can be understood regarding biological factors and their interaction with other factors. So we know that we all have genes, hormones, or our working of brain will be in different level. That is the first assumption, and our behavior and our thoughts and our emotions are a result of all these factors. But what makes each of us different? It is that the interaction of these factors makes each of the people unique or each of us different. Okay, now we'll move forward to cognitive approach. So, when you hear the word cognition, what are the things that comes to your mind? It may be thoughts. Then what else? It may be thoughts, memory, language, reasoning, decision making, attention. These are the words that are related to the term cognition. So let's look at the first assumption. Information is processed through the same route in all humans: input, process, output, in a similar way to how information is processed by computer. And the second assumption is that similarities and differences between people can be understood in terms of individual patterns of cognition, such as attention, language, thinking, and memory. Let's look at these two assumptions with an example. Okay, so imagine a class, and I'm the class teacher, and I was teaching your psychology, and after the class, I've given a homework. But the next day, when I asked about the homework, few students didn't do the homework and few did. So, why was it different? I've informed the whole class, but few did and few didn't do. So, what was it? And why is it happened so? It is here the cognitive approach explanation takes place. Information is processed through same route in all humans. When we take the whole class, information is processed in the same way. I've given an input, that means information. Tomorrow you have to do this homework. It is processed in your brain. Okay, tomorrow there is a homework. And output. Output is what? What you do at your home. You remember it and or you memorize that particular information that the teacher had given, and you did the homework and you came to the class next day. But there are few students who took the input but they didn't process it. So what happens? There is no output. They forgot about the homework. So see the difference. Information is processed in the same way for everyone, but what makes us different? It is the way we are processing it. Maybe the other child who didn't do the homework, he might not have attended to what the teacher was telling, or he didn't memorize whatever the teacher had taught, so he find it difficult to do the homework. Now let's discuss the learning approach. So whenever we talk about learning, the first thing that has to come to our mind is reward, punishment, classical conditioning, observational learning. When you remember or memorize these words, it will help you for your exams. So let's look at the assumptions. We all begin life as a blank state. Experiences and interactions with environment shape our behavior, and these changes are directly observable. That is the first assumption. Second one, we learn through the process of operant conditioning, classical conditioning, and social learning. This can be understood through stimulus response model. Let's do this with an example. Okay, imagine two babies born into different families. When they are born, do they know anything? No. But as they grew up, they knew different things. Why? Because of the environment or the family in which they are born or the kind of parenting that they are getting. Everything might be a result of the behavior of these two babies. So when you look at your class, you can see diverse behavior. Why? When you were born, what was it? You all were same, your mind was like a blank state. But now your behaviors are different because of the environment that you learned. You learned through rewards, you learned through punishment to do certain behavior and to not to do certain behaviors. Okay, so we all begin life as a blank state. Experience and interaction is the thing that shapes our behavior, and we can see these kind of behaviors or we can observe these kind of behaviors in each of us. And what are the different through ways through which we learn these kind of behaviors? It might be classical conditioning, it might be observational learning, or it might be through operant conditioning. Now comes the last and final approach, the social approach. When we hear the term social, it includes people, society, or the groups, anything. So, the first assumption of social approach is that behavior, cognitions, and emotions are influenced by social context, social environment, and groups. Let's break this through an example. The way you behave in school and the way you behave at your home, is it different or is it same? Mostly I believe it will be different. Why? In school you will be a very obedience child, or sometimes you will be a naughty child in school, but at home you will be an obedient studious child, or at home you will be a naughty child. There may be different reasons for that as well. So, your behavior, your cognitions, or your emotions is influenced by social context. That means the situation which you are in, the environment, and the group. That means the people whom you are with. For example, you are going for a trip. Okay, you are going with your friends. How will be your behavior? You will be like jolly, and sometimes suppose you are going with a people, a group of old people. How will be your behavior? You will be bored, you will be disinterested, you will also start to feel like bored. So your behavior, your cognitions, and your emotions are influenced by actual, implied, or imagined presence of others. For example, you are sad, you were sitting sad, and your friend just came by. What happens to your behavior or your mood or your emotion? It suddenly changes. Or you are making very noise in the class, okay? Suddenly the supervisor comes in. What happens? It will become a silent class. So that is how it works. When you know that you are being observed, you behave in a different way. And when you know that you are not being observed, you behave in a different way. So that's it about the 4 different approaches. Thank you. If you like the video, do share, subscribe, and like.